patiently, the God whose help leaves no vacuum, God whom nothing takes unawares, the God whose revelations are eye-opening and not eye-dulling, the God whose words are powerful, intoxicating, detoxifying, and dependable, the God among whose spoken words are found Eucharist, edible Eucharist, holy Eucharist, celestial life-giving food indeed, and not the achicha, or that terrestrial kind of bread baked with or without yeast, which can tear or break when burnt, which houseflies can perch on, and can even breed insects or ants. The God whose words are supposed to be likened to ambrosia nectar, and not food for thoughts, but food for the spirit being, pure hominy spirit being precisely. The God who used or who uses celestial gold, so precious as that is, for flooring celestial planets outdoor. The God whose words move mountains, whose reign of active revelations changes weather, conditions climate, weathers a storm. The God whose holy messages uninstall the perverse in any planet, chasing away darkness and matrix storms at the echo, resetting the ecosystem of any terrestrial world gradually for the celestial to take over. The God whose words progressively vanishes anarchy and chaos, frustrates the token of liars, making and proving their divinations baseless, that is without concrete foundation, lies and riotous to cosmic methodology, anarchical, cataclysmic, or chaotic to cosmic methodology, formatting trends, thereby initiating changes positively. God whose doctrines does not include casting of lot, the God who does not gamble nor do things by trial and error, the God whose word is living and active, whose word has microscopic properties, spiritual and life-giving properties, spiritual meaning possessing spiritually genetic contents or properties, and life-giving simply meaning zoe hatching, life imparting, life importing, life-changing, life renewing, life immortalizing, life preserving, life polishing, powerful and surgically sharper or more piercing than any two-edged sword or surgical blade or blades or needles in life-saving operations. The God who speaks things into existence torrentially, calling them definitely and setting their order, and not in any way practicing optimism, faith, or being merely optimistic in his confessions. The God that has no birthday, the God whose source of life and power is himself, his spirit being, and not his word, but his word, his spoken word, has life or power because he's born of his spirit. The God whose surveillance is all-encompassing, whose kingdom is all-sovereign, and never or can never suffer. The God that has his unmatched operation avatar, the master strategist, the super master strategist, the extraordinary strategist, and the transition programmer. I fear thee, the wiper out of the multi-generational reproach of the once termed or tagged bastardized, the resurrector of the father of the people that were once called fatherless, the bail and resurrector of the principal ancestors of the mankind race, the defender of the widowed church, the ages the church ran without the husband of that church age, most loving father, most caring father, most model father, the God of the harvest, who sends laborers into his vineyard when the harvest is ripe, the supreme master builder of the church that conquered death. We worship thee. Our super lover, our highest carer. Thy love does not die at all. Nothing dies or can die in thee, the supremely immortal God. Those wolves and monsters that said that thy love for mankind, thy agape for us, that thy agape are gapped from us by the sin or transgression of Father Adam, those anarchists are damned. Those wolves that called us poor banished children of Eve, those children of anarchy are damned forever. Truly, thy save is total. Thy save is total, O God of our salvation. Thy save is ultimate and homecoming. The lifter up of my head, meaning the resurrector of my principal ancestor, the promoter of my status, the grandest architect and master strategist, the avatar of my impending dangers. They say, when we get to the bridge, we shall cross it. But I say, that is if the bridge is already built. Or else, how will you cross to the other side, facing a river without an already built bridge, nor a ship standing by the bank of the very river, nor not having any ship standing by the bank of the very river, nor is the river the kind that you dive in to swim to the very other side, as the other side is not where you can get to through swimming, when the other side is not where you can get to through swimming. Indeed, two rivers can meet but cannot mix. Indeed, there are two rivers that can meet but cannot mix. Thanks, most Holy Spirit, for teaching me and for leading us into this epochal truth about our costly procreation. our costly procreation price and the due appreciation of it with our seed offerings, and having to mark it annually globally as the carnival of carnivals, the God that do the impossible. I'm increasingly, ravishingly, and mesmerizingly in awe and humble admiration of thee, my God. I love and cherish thee deeply with the whole of me, with the entirety of my being. May we hear from thee once again in the simplest language that we can understand. You will continue to reign forever, for thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. In the matchless name of our supreme Lord Jesus Christ we pray. Amen. Amen. You can have your seat. They say, when we get to the bridge, we shall cross it. They say, when we get to the bridge, we shall cross it. When we get to the river, we shall cross it. When we get to the bridge, we shall cross it. But I say, that is if the bridge is already built, or else, how will you cross to the other side facing a river without an already built bridge, nor a ship standing by the bank of the very river, nor is the river the kind that you dive in to swim to the very other side? As the other side is not where you can get to through swimming. If the other side referred to is not the kind you can get to through swimming, praise God. Have your way, Lord. Have your way. Have your way, Lord. Have your way. Have your way, Lord. Have your way, oh Lord. Have your way. Lord, have your way.
Have your way, Lord. Have your way.
Most Holy Spirit,
Have your way, Lord. Have your way. Oh Lord, have your way.
have your way, Lord. Have your way. Have your way, Lord. Have your way. Have your way, Lord. Have your way. Most Holy Spirit, have your way.
Have your way.
have decided to follow Eliah. I have decided to follow Eliah. I have decided to follow Eliah. No going back. No going back. Have you decided to follow Eliah? Have you decided to follow Eliah? Have you decided to follow Eliah? No going back. No going back. Answer.
I have decided to follow Eliah. I have decided to follow Eliah. I have decided to follow Eliah. No going back. No going back.
No going back. No going back. Did you see? Now, what followed that song was a decision, a determination. You are not talking to yourself. You are talking to God. You're still talking to God. But the thing is revelation backed. Not just a foolish decision. You see, you wrote my name with your golden pen. You wrote my name. You wrote my name. You wrote my name with your golden pen. My name is there.
Wrote my name with your golden pen. You wrote my name. You wrote my name. You wrote my name with your golden pen. My name is there.
You can sit. Who would have revealed to me that the popular Bible verse or verses in 1 John 5 from verse 1 to 8 that Christians defensively quote as we are Trinity, especially verse 7 and 8, as we are Trinity, most Holy Trinity was mentioned in the Bible. Who would have revealed to me that was such a blunder? 1 John 5 verse 7 and 8, and I read as written in the Bible, as was written in the Bible we have here. For there are three that bear record in heaven: the Father, the Word, and the Holy Ghost. And these three are one. Verse 8. And there are three that bear witness in earth: the Spirit, and the water, and the blood. And these three agree in one. The correct rendition of these incorrect and nonsensical Bible phrases will be out today. This was what Prophet prayed last Wednesday. Did you watch that program? Did you also get the correct renditions of 1 John chapter 5 from verse 1 now? to 8. All right. Whosoever believes that Lord Adam, his eminence, is the Son of God, in bracket, giving birth to spirit being without physical body first, and that Jesus of Nazareth's preeminence, Jesus Christ's preeminence, is the God in an incarnate manifestation, who came in the shoes of the Son of God, so that he can propitiate, ransom, or bail the mankind, Adam and Eve, their eminence. Whosoever that believes that when preached to, despite the fact that Lord Adam and Eve were totally blacklisted, is a pure hominid. For everyone who loves God, his love for God ought to be genetic, and loving the God that had a begotten son should automatically translate to loving whoever that person is that was begotten by the God. This is the correct rendition of 1 John chapter 5 verse 1. Verse 2. By this, like they wrote, okay, let me read just the correct rendition. By this we can know them that are impure hominids, as this kind of message is genetic and cannot go down well with a tear. Verse 3. For this is an examiner or a prover or a litmus test that can diagnose and prove one's hominid status. Verse 4. For whosoever is born of God Almighty, for whosoever is born of God Most Holy, is by heredity incorruptible and genetically perfect, super immortal, insurmountable, etc., and cannot sin, just like the victory that overcomes all odds. Verse 5. Who is he that has overcome this world, for instance? Question mark and comma. He that expressly immortalizes without testing of death, or without testing death at all, through assimilation of Eucharistic revelations or Zoe Hatching revelations. Examples are the great Enoch and the then Elijah of Tishbe. Verse 6. These are people who came into this earth the same way you did, through the womb of their different biological mothers, with physical bodies that are 100% mortal. Unlike that kind of birth of Jesus of Nazareth's preeminence, whose own coming into this earth, passing through the womb of a woman, was an immaculate conception. Verse 7. For there are 3 sciences that bear record of your existence: the science of biology, physics, and chemistry. And these 3 are integrated. Verse 8. And there are 3 that bear witness in this earth that your body is a mortal kind: the blood, the water, and the air, that is oxygen, in bracket. And these fluids run in the inside of your physical body, plus the air that you breathe, that you must breathe. This is amazing. This is amazing. You're welcome to today's Sunday service. Today, I want to tell you, amongst all that God built, like the houses inside different heavens worlds, apart from hanging the planets on air, going also inside the very planets, like heavens worlds, like I have told you, that these are places that are physical, but of a higher law, of supernatural laws. But then that's where life is everlasting. Physical bodies of those that will stay in such places cannot age, cannot die. That like it happens here, you know. Things inside the very heavens world cannot become old, cannot expire, cannot gradually spoil. If that's why you hope to go to a house, for instance, that nobody has been all the while, but it was furnished for you. If you leave a house 1 year and go back to the very place in this kind of planet, you know what to expect. There are no brooms in heaven's worlds. There are no brushes in heaven's worlds, and so on. You can now understand why there shouldn't be liquid water there too. Because water that you need here, you need it also for digestion. You need for washing plates, for washing, for flushing, and so for bathing, you see. So where physical bodies are perfect like that, like God's own physical body is perfect. What do you expect? And so on. So I'm happy I have been able to communicate to the church, the people, the few that are following, that heaven's world is actually physical places, and there are different heaven. There are many heavens worlds. The angels, they have their own different heavens worlds, and that they occupy 4 different heavens worlds that are inhabited by them, and the 5th is a limbo. While the cherubim and seraphim occupy one massive heavens world, and then mankind has 3 different, but then the one in the middle happened to be a limbo. And that the only one unveiled, was the one that was, that I told you, that's the Garden of Eden that they wrote like it is in the earth here. But then prophet said that the city was not unveiled. But Eden is a whole heavens world, and the main heavens world of the mankind race. But it is the garden aspect of that heavens world that was unveiled. And that every heavens world has the garden and also the city. So the garden is where you get all the trees that the people will eat from for glory remnants, or change of remnants that are glory remnants. And that this has to do with skin on skin. It has nothing to do with the kind of wares we have here, which you can remove and wash or can tear and so on. It is not so. And that not any of these remnants will add a cubit to the stature or a cubit to the anatomy of the very creature. And that mankind is not a creature. That a creature has to do with that which God, the God of creation, conceptualized in his creative faculty and then bring it into tangible reality. You know, I've explained all of these things to you. So today I want to tell you when it comes to these things that God built, the one that gave the God the toughest of time, the most difficult. Are you getting what I'm saying? No, like you can point to, if you see a builder, for instance, who built this and that, you know, you can ask, so amongst all of these, which one gave you the toughest of time? Okay? And so on. Praise God. You see, amongst the things that God built, the God of creation built, the one that was the toughest, the one that was the most difficult, is the physical body of mankind, Adam, His Eminence. And the main message is not just this now, it is the inside story, which I will tell you. So you don't, I know some of you may have like, I know it's supposed to be that. But the inside story, you have to wait to hear it. It is easy to say that physical body is the toughest. It is easy to say that now because we've heard so much. But to somebody who needs to understand it better, who needs to understand it more, better, that's when you understand that you may have a lot of work to do to convince that person. Because when you say mankind's body, there are mannequins in the earth. There are mannequins in the earth. Am I correct? That can look like exactly like human beings are, and it's so fine. There are dolls that can have hair. You know what I mean? In the earth and so what do you mean? How can you really convince that person that God Almighty, that the toughest amongst what he built with his hands is the very physical body of Adam, His Eminence? Prophet said that it took God 600 years of this kind of a planet. I mean, this kind of counting, the kind of counting we have here, to finish the very physical body. Was that what he said? He said it took God 6 celestial what? Hours. Because the gestation period of the of the spirit body of the very father Adam, that is the son that God gave birth to, the gestation period is actually what? 6 celestial hours. Thank you. Now, be like facing it, like let's face it. 600 years. The prophet said that was the reason Noah's ark took 600 years to be perfectly finished. And why it shouldn't pass that? Like there is a particular time it should take. Because that was also serving as an adumbration of something. So for that to work as God has adumbrated it, are you getting it? It shouldn't pass 600 years. I mean, in terms of, I mean Noah building the, I don't mean that the ark that Noah coupled took 600 years to couple. As Noah has to be giving birth. I mean, Noah was 600, please. Noah was what? 600 years when he entered into the ark that he coupled. Okay, please, that's it. So, and then, prophet said that he started coupling that when he was what? 500 years. So that it took like 100 years for him to finish. And prophet also linked that to Abraham, who was 100 years. Am I correct? To have the very Isaac, who is the son that God was talking about, that he took, that he will have to become Abraham, the son that will come out from the womb of, Sarah, And the prophet likened Abraham and Sarah to Father Adam and Mother Eve, that the mankind race has the father of the very many that are now in the mankind race. So that is a race that became many through one person. Okay? I have explained that Abraham means father of many. So that father of many is pointing to the Abraham of the mankind race. That there is the Abraham of the mankind race. And that if you look at that, Abraham, like Abraham, Sarai, Abraham, Sarah. Then Sarah means, Abraham means assumed father. Then assumed father became father of many at a time. The prophet said that God Almighty, there was also a time he has not yet a son. So then, if you should refer to God the Father as God the Father, then it is assumed. You're only assuming it. Are you getting what I'm saying? You see, until he gave birth to that his son. Then prophet also said that you can like, but it's best for us to go liken that to Father Adam and Mother Eve. Look at the word Eve, which means woman. Eva means mother. If you look at it, you say they remove that. What should have been there is of many. If you should see her as the principal ancestress of the mankind race, you say that's the mother. It should be mother of many. So it helps you to say, oh, you can link that Eve to Sarah. You can link it. Then you can link Father Adam to Abraham. Are you understand what I'm saying? I mean, what does it make sense that a people, we are talking about their progenitor, as in a country of 12 tribes, they point to their progenitor as Jacob, and then they don't have much really to say now concerning Isaac, not to talk of Abraham. But God didn't just start from the very Jacob. And also when God started from Abraham to tell the story, Abraham didn't give birth to 12. Abraham would have then given birth to 12 and be the progenitor of a country that has 12 tribes. But Abraham has to give birth to Isaac, one person first. Any other birth that took place, like the one from Keturah, the one from Hagar, did not count in this. And then Isaac to Jacob. Then when Jacob was coming, there was also another. So it was Esau and Jacob, but Esau didn't count in this. Are you getting what I've explained all of this to you anyway? Then Jacob has also what awaits him. Things he has to discover by himself and so on. And prophet explained these things. That Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, then Jacob, the 12. And so on. So I want to explain something. I'm really, like I told you before, that I will be rounding up service by 4. The thing is this. The thing is this. Amongst all that God built with his hands, especially with his hands. Because when it comes to the ones that are the most precious, the more precious than certain others, you talk about the ones he built with his hands. So I know that many people are yet to know that aside, I mean, that aspect that has to do with God commanding something with his mouth, commanding something, is one. Another is the one that has to do also with his physical hands being employed to mold, to shaping, to build what that is. There are two different things. Like God, when prophet used words like rearing up the osmosis of something. And also words that are microsculpting. Words that will hatch the cell system of whatever that thing is that God has commanded. Are you getting it? So the smallest unit of every organism, especially living organism, as was taught, is a cell. But what I mean is that in this height, there are even, like there are planetaries away. There are planetary cells. Are you getting what I'm saying? So that's my point is that there is please, because of time, I want to hit the point now. Prophet has said now that what is the most difficult, not only that is the most precious, the costliest in valuing, as in comparing them, but also the most difficult for the God to build. For the God to build is the physical body of Lord Adam. And I will now go to the point, straight to the point. You see, church, before the creation and bringing into tangible reality of the heavens worlds that can be referred, and the people in them that can be referred to as free moral agents. Okay? Before the mountains become, as was written in Proverbs, right? Before you talk about the heavens worlds and also their amenities, and the people that will stay in them. I told you before that God has been, and that God has no beginning. When you meditate in this, you will know that truly, if it is so, then God does not need a planet to live in. Else, you ask, where was he staying when he was here to bring in these things? He has to create first and then bring into tangible reality. And also, that you don't have to also say that when these heavens worlds were hanging and so on, and the amenities also coming into them, was when God, that was the first time there was something you can point to as what is God's creation. God's creation. As there is still where God is. Do you know what I'm saying? Above every heavens. Right? Thank you. You see, I told you also that before the son that God gave birth to was conceived, before that conception, did I tell you that? That God himself, there is what he does. The very God which can still be referred to in the three different modes of operation, which I told you, the three different modes of operation of the God of creation. That's God the Father mode of operation, God the Son mode of operation, and God the Most Holy Spirit what? Mode of operation. So that God the Father, that's God in his capital size, in his complete size, doing one thing or the other. That is the very God the Father mode of operation. Then when he prosubstantiates from himself, spirit being from spirit being, physical body from physical body, right? That's God the Son. That is the mode of operation that, for instance, if God needs to enter inside a planet to continue works of creation, then it's him, is that one, because that one becomes smaller in size. In fact, that was the size that predetermined the size of the very prototype, which is the son that God gave birth to, in terms of the image of God. So what determined, because the God the Father mode of operation, the very God Almighty himself is so big. He's bigger than the planets. He hang on air. He do hang on air. So when he does that kind of a thing, he does that. Hanging planets on air. He does that in the very, in his wholesome size. Do you get it? God can hold a planet, for instance, a planet like this, to shift it. You see what I mean? To do it. Now, what can hold a planet as an example? A planet like this. What is the size of that? You see? It means the very hand alone, the hand alone, is not this size to be able to hold planet like this. Am I correct? It means the palm is not this size to be able to hold. You see? And so on. So my point is that those kind is the kind that God does in his whole size. Aside that, when he finishes and needs to go inside the planet to carry out work still that has to do with him still working. I mean, constructing, building. Do you get it? Then he substantiates from his, oh, this God is, I'm so much in love with this God. I mean, oh my God. I mean, I can understand this. I can understand this. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, look at Lucifer cannot enter into the earth. Look at that. Yet, Lucifer is claiming that the earth is his own. He cannot enter into the earth. God has entered into this earth several times with physical body. With physical body. Look at that. In everything that Lucifer has done, God has never done any that is wicked. I mean, back to him, that is wicked. Look at that. In all that Lucifer has done so far, that has not forced out, like a kind of revenge or revengeful action from God that you can call wicked. Look at that. Then the son that God gave birth to, who is not a match to the very Lucifer, has not done also any like that. Oh my goodness. That if he as a person should confront the very Lucifer, that's go to where the very Lucifer is, what he can do, he has not. Understanding also the logos of the God of creation. So my point is that there is a fact that God is such a gentleman. It's a fact that God is such a noble. It's a fact to me that God is who he is. Do you understand what I'm saying? He is like that immaculate light in whom is no darkness at all. So that aside, now what I'm saying is this, that before the conception of the Son of God, which I told you was given birth to, spirit being without what? Physical body. First. That it was the physical body of the Son that God gave birth to, that God came to couple in a different planet. That is in this very earth. And there are reasons for that, which I've explained to you. And that the raw material for that is not the clay that they pointed to. So today I want to explain further as we are going towards the very 6th of June. So I want to use this first Sunday after we celebrated the 13th year anniversary. I want to bring out this message. Okay? So the thing is this. My point is this. That time that God, those times that I told you that the God, apart from like entering into the works of creation, like that is that the kind that we call for, the very God in a pro-substantiated state, that also God do look at himself like when you face a mirror to see yourself, right? So when God will look at himself, when he needs to see himself, he will also pro-substantiate from himself, spirit being from spirit being, physical body from physical body. So the very God the Father, which is the God in his whole size, we'll be looking at God the Son, which is the God, the same God in a pro-substantiated state, right? And so on. All right. Now then, God looking at himself in a pro-substantiated state, like I told you, that he is so beautiful. So beautiful that nothing of whatsoever, nothing can move God. That's that God will look at and it affects him. Do you get him saying? It affects him, except himself. Did I tell you that before? Thank you. Now, I want to bring it home today. You see, when God looks at himself, when the very God, that's God in his wholesome size, looks at himself, that he looks at God the Son, which is the God in a pro-substantiated state. Spirit being from spirit being, physical body from physical body. That is what he do say. That is what he do say. Aside, like, you know, accolades. Do you get it? Like words he can call himself. Shower on himself aside those ones. That's what he do say. Ask me, what is that, sir? All right, I will tell you. He do say, I will build this body. Listen, listen, listen. Listen. He will say again, no. This way I will prove to myself that I am almighty. Listen, listen, listen. You see? Listen, I'm coming. Sit. See, you know, you may be like, what's the big deal? 2 hands, 5 fingers, and I'm coming. See, the God Almighty. Hey, do you know God is listening to me now? Do you know God is listening? I don't mean listening to me like I'm teaching him. I hope you're not misunderstanding. I mean, he loves this segment, this kind. When I'm on this kind, he loves it. I am telling you. That he listens to me like, okay, go on. Ihe m ji n'aka ọ karịrị ego. Ihe m ji n'aka ọ nke m ji ka. Ihe m ji n'aka ọ karịrị ego. Ọ karịrị ọlaọcha na ọlaedo. Ọ karịrị dọla. Ọ karịrị ego. Ihe m ji n'aka okwu Chineke. I said that God, in looking at himself, the him that prosubstantiated from him, spirit being from spirit being, physical body from physical body, the archetype in image description, the one that predetermined the size of the son that God later gave birth to, spirit being with a physical body. That when God looks at himself and the way it affects him, first of all, you should understand, to even understand why there can be conception in the first place. I mean, now prophet said that amongst also what he do say, aside words of accolades, like blessing, God blesses himself. Now what also he do say is, that's when he reacts like, say, I will build this. He said, I will build this. Then he says, to prove to me, to prove, you see, not to another, to prove to me that I am almighty. He says, I will build my, now this is the big one, I will build my own physical body. Now, church, listen. It is not just about the shape. It is not just about the diagram, the anatomy. It is about the interior side, the interior part of God Almighty. Listen. You see why I said, when it says it's a physical body of Adam, physical body, listen, let me tell you. When you look at your physical body now, internal and external, you will think that is what I'm talking about. Maybe you want to say Father Adam's physical body. The lungs, the kidney, the liver, the heart or flesh. That, you know, they talk about the skeletal part, the skeletal. I mean, the skeletal organ, or please, the skeletal features of the human body. You think that's what I'm talking? That is not what I'm talking about. Yeah. I'm talking about the details, the 100% details of the physical body, interior and exterior wise. God said, I will build this. Because God has no beginning. You know what it means? It means that God is not the one that brought his physical body into existence. I repeat. Because God has no beginning. You know what it means? It means that God it was not the one that brought his physical body into existence. Else, his physical body would have had a beginning. Are you getting what I'm saying? Is that enough? Or I should throw more light? I said, because God Almighty has no beginning. It means also that his physical body, that it was not the God that brought that into existence. Are you getting it? The God who can conceptualize, who can create things in his creative faculty, and then bring that into tangible reality. Look at it yourself. If whatever that is if he can do that, God Almighty can do that. Like what was not existing before, he brings it into tangible reality. That should be enough for you to know then what his physical elements would have looked like, for him to be able to do what he can do. Are you getting what I'm saying? For him to be able to do all of that, it should also tell you how, what he looks like when it comes to God's physical body. Because it is the spirit being God that the physical body represents physically. Am I correct? Don't forget. A body that a body can prosubstantiate from, and it is not subtracted from. He suffers no lack or minus. Are you hearing me? God said what I'm telling you not once. That is to show that it's not a small one. God himself knows it's not a small one. Now listen. That is the reason it could have taken that long to couple. That is the reason. In 1,000 years, one celestial day, it took that long. Are you hearing me? To couple that physical body. The very physical body of mankind. God is a man, but not the mankind or the kind of man that needs a planet to stay inside. Is right? Well understood. Thank you. So what I'm trying to say here is this: that God said, I will build my physical body from scratch. God was saying it, and then that also contributed in the hunger to give birth to a son. Are you hearing me? He wouldn't just say, I am so beautiful that I want to give birth to a son that is like me, without looking into how the physical body of the person will become built. Because God already knew that if that should happen, the person will be giving birth to spirit being without a physical body. He already knew. Are you getting what I'm saying? God knew that if he should put to bed, that the son that he will give birth to will be spirit being. That is what we form in the spirit. See, where that is like a womb. When you talk about a woman, where that is not in any way in God's physical body. It is not in any way. Are you hearing me? In any place in God's physical body. It is in God's spirit being. Are you getting it? That was why it is when there is a prosubstantiation that has to do with spirit being from spirit being. That's when plurality was manifested. Are you getting it? What I'm trying to say here is this: that the innermost part of the God is the spirit being. The rawest part of the God is the spirit being. The spirit of God is the God. Are you hearing me? But then it didn't now mean that the physical body of God in his whole size, you now say, no, that's different. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like you throw that, no. Because when he prosubstantiates spirit being from spirit being, physical body from physical body, the physical body of God still remains intact. That is different from the spirit being of mankind when he's ejected out of a physical body. Then that physical body lies down motionless. That physical body of the God cannot lie down motionless. Why? Because the spirit being God cannot be ejected out of that body totally. Are you getting what I'm saying? So God cannot suffer anything like that. Neither will that body, that very body, suffer what is called death. Because the spirit being has been ejected out by the very system in the very physical body. Are you getting what I'm saying? So the mechanism that ejects your spirit being out of your physical body is not with the spirit being, it's with your physical body. In this sense, the mechanism for that prosubstantiation to happen is not in the physical body of God, it's in the spirit being of the God. See it. I'm explaining something. See what it's like. See what it's like. Like as I am, okay? Now if I can prosubstantiate from myself, spirit being from spirit being, physical body from physical body, that I can now stand and look at the me that has prosubstantiated from me. Now, for me to conceive, I have to be looking at that. And that look has to be steadfast, right? Am I correct? Then for a certain thing to happen, which is called conception. Now, in me, there is the spirit me that can also prosubstantiate from me, spirit being from spirit being, without physical body. If I should look at that spirit being, that will not happen. That will not happen. Are you getting it? If I, with my physical body, should look at the spirit being me, that will not happen. Even though the spirit being is more beautiful than the physical body. Because that is the me, that is the me, the man me. Am I correct? Why? Because when I look at that spirit being, the details that I will see when I look at the physical body, it will not be visible when I look at the spirit being me. Are you getting it? Just like when a seed grows into a tree and brings forth fruits, the physical body is like a product of the spirit. It's like the fruit of a tree. Are you getting it? That's why you produce what can fertilize an egg and it starts building body. Do you get it? So I hope I'm not running too much. What I'm trying to say here is this: that to have a very good understanding of what the Trinity is amazing. This very thing called, this very Trinity, the word Trinity is amazing. It is so real, so real. It's true. People are too far from what the truth is. When you say prophet, some believes that there is something that can be done to them so that they can see. You see, so they can begin to see. That's what I mean. See, like prophets see. That is to show you that they don't even know what it means to be a prophet. You are a prophet by birth. You see, if you are not a prophet, you cannot become a prophet. Are you getting what I'm saying? There are preachers that secretly goes to these white garment churches for that reason. They will tell them things like that. Say, use coconut water. Get so number of coconut. When you look at coconut, there's this thing that looks like 2 eyes and then another one down. Like 1, 2, and then a certain one down. So you open one, pour out the water. Then you can even bury it in the ground for 7 days. Things like that. You can then, after which you use it to wash your eye. You just be washing, use it to be washing your eye. You will see. Over time you see. But you will only, in fact, you will not see solutions. You can only see people's problem. Look at that. Believe you me, people patronize them secretly. Many preachers are looking for it because they felt, they think that is it. That's what somebody can, when the person has it, he can say, what did he say? Or he can tell the person, you went to and do this and did. Is that true? The person, yes sir, yes sir. What I'm telling you is not funny. The things I've explained to you, that you knew already, and what is out there, if you should know them, like this thing I have explained to you, the shield or the shielding this has given to you, why you cannot now be confused? You cannot be deceived by somebody. Because when someone has not those knowledge, the person can be tempted in that angle. I'm telling you. So things that are a lot of protection. It protects you. It helps you know what the truth is. Now you know who a prophet is. Now you know who a prophet is. As having to do with the God sending revelations, messages that are inaudible, and the person having the ability to receive it. Look at that. And that ability is in the spirit being. Tell me how, after you have known that, how you can go to begin to look for that in a coconut. You see? Daniel said to somebody, there is the God who is the revealer of secrets. You see, now compare this that I said now to also that other one. Has that to do with anything that God gives? If you should go to coconut water to get it, has that to do with what the Spirit of God gives? They still said that to some he gave, to some that is the God giving gifts. Has that to do? Did it even agree with the coconut water giving you the ability to see? That's for you to see how costly what we do is. Where it lacks. That aside. Now, like I was saying, I said that the God Almighty. Oh, okay, please, I had to make this snap. You see, my dear, God, the Father, looking at himself in a smaller size. There is the reason. There is what he will see much more that way than what he will see if he should just look at himself like this. Do you understand what I'm saying? The reason, the reason for that pro-substantial first, so that he will look at himself head to toe, and every other way he has to, even if he needs to turn, something like that. Are you getting what I'm saying? That is what I want to bring out again. Ụlọ m dị n'eluigwe mara mma, ụlọ m dị n'eluigwe mara mma, ụlọ m dị n'ụwa mana nke dị n'igwe ka ya mma ọnwụ adịghị ya. Ụlọ m dị n'ụwa mana nke dị n'igwe ka ya mma ọnwụ adịghị ya. See, when God has prosubstantiated from himself, spirit being from spirit being, yes, physical body from physical body, and then the God in his full size, then we begin to look at, now looking at himself still in a smaller size. There's a, hi, God, how do I put this? I don't use words that will be very high for you, like using words like dimension. Dimension. There are dimensions to that. I don't think, especially a first timer, will understand this. What I'm trying to say here is this. You know, God the Father, God the Son, and God the Most Holy Spirit are same, right? Co-eternal, and also, when it comes to ability, same, right? But then, when it comes to size, like they said, equal. No, it was not written well. Whichever thing that they are reading from, they are not equal in size. But I think they are trying to say that they are of the same hierarchy. You know, of the same hierarchical order, something like that. Now, what I'm trying to say here, the only English that helped, that I could manage, immediately use, is dimension. There are dimensions to what I'm talking about now, but I will leave it for today because I am not yet sure that I will go into it in such a way that I will be satisfied, like I've really nailed it because of first timer. So let me that dimension aspect. Now what I'm trying to say here is this. When God looks at himself like this, okay, like this, there is the extent he cannot see. There's the extent of his own internal organ, internal parts, internal him that he cannot see. When he prosubstantiates from himself, spirit being from spirit, then physical body to physical body, and becomes sizable. Okay, that is, he becomes smaller in size compared to the physical him. See, that body that he prosubstantiated from, okay, physical body. Oh, I think this will help you. Physical body from physical body, right? Okay, good. Now that other one that has prosubstantiated from that physical body, the reason that one cannot practice that, the reason that one, that very physical body, if God the Son should also try to prosubstantiate from himself, are you getting, like the physical body from physical body, it can't happen there. Are you getting it now? The reason it can't happen there, but it can happen in the other one, at least has showed that that other one is superior. Are you getting what I'm saying? Thank you, God. Thank you, Most Holy Spirit. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. That's what I was trying to explain. When I use that word dimension, there are dimensions to it. So the one that is the main, okay, that physical body of his, that is God in his whole size. Are you getting it now? Thank you. That one is of the highest dimension. Are you getting it? It's of the highest when it comes to dimensions. Okay? I'm just being careful. So you don't think that's like God the Son that's beginning to like lower his ability. No, he's the same God. He's the same God. When Jesus said, I proceeded from the Father, I go back to the Father. It was prosubstantiation that was supposed to be there. He prosubstantiated from the God first. Spirit being from spirit being, physical being from physical, before the next action. Before we talk about incarnation, there must be a prosubstantiation. First, why? The spirit being from spirit being, there's a dimension to it, to that. Are you getting what I'm saying? Then physical body from physical, there is a dimension to that, which was evidenced in the fact that it's not the same size with the God the Father mode of operation. God in his wholesome size. Okay? Right? Thank you. So my point is this, that when God looks like this, there is the extent he cannot get to. Are you getting it? Hey, if you know what God's complexion looks like, if you know, that's called the effulgence of his glory. If you know what that, just like God the Son can enter into a planet. Now, if God the Father should want to enter into the planet that way, that size, it can't happen. You see what I mean? That's another. Are you getting it? So the way he can is by pro-substantiating from himself. First, spirit being from spirit being, physical being from physical. Okay? Thank you. All right. So I will now go straight to the point. So it means that God has to pro-substantiate from himself, spirit being from spirit being, physical body from physical body, and then that stand at there's still a particular distance he will stand. Do you understand? Because that place is called pro-substantiation arena. So it's not just what he does that is like it doesn't matter. It is a very serious action, very, very serious action. And that is the very person, those that when we were, like, and you, in the Father's bosom, that's the one you can see. While you have your spirit being without physical body in the very Father's bosom. That's the only way you can see that. Not God the Father. Are you not God in his whole size? As you cannot see his head. You cannot see even his feet. Do you get what I'm saying? What you see is a part. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because size-wise already is beyond the scope of your seeing. Are you getting it? Thank you. Thank you. So, now when that action has taken place, then the God in his whole size, looking at the one that has prostrated from himself, right? Now, there is the looking that can make the God react that way. That's what I want to explain now. And that comes to God's eye. God's what? Eye. That is all seeing. Okay? Now, the all seeing eye on that very person will see the very God the Son. The way X-ray, you know what they call X-ray? Sees what, like the physical body that they put that ray on. The X-ray goes beyond the physical frames. Am I correct? I mean the outward, please. The external frames. And goes inside. Now, what makes God react that way? Are you hearing me? Is not in the shape of the God. Like the shape of a woman can make the man behave, that react a certain way. Am I correct? As an example, I just want to make you understand what I'm saying. It is not the shape. It's not the shape of the God. Okay? That is still 2 legs, 5 feet on each, 2 hands, 5 fingers on each. It's not the shape. As God can take whatever that shape is, and get it into his creative faculty. And he's looking at that without prosubstantiation. What is called imagination. He can image himself. He can, inside, without what? Prosubstantiation. What calls for there must be a prosubstantiation that involved the physical body of the God. Are you getting it now? For that kind that can cause conception to take place. That's what I'm explaining here. So you understand? I understood that. Like I told you, that there are 3 things that bear record of your existence. There are 3 sciences, right, to this effect. The science of biology, the science of physics, and the science of chemistry. Who knows the one I'm defining now? Now, I said that the very God Almighty, he must pro-substantiate from himself. If conception is what he is trying to achieve. 2, there is also the role the eyes will play. The one that has nothing to do with creative faculty. Are you getting what I'm saying? Creating in a faculty that is in his mind with maximum reverence. I'm saying these things. That one is not what God will go about that way. Are you getting it? What I'm trying to say is this: when conception has to happen, not when he will go to create. Are you getting it? God can do a lot with his eye. He can even snap. And okay, I want you to understand this very well. When conception has to take place, there are laws that must be met. All right? There must be a pro-substantiation. And that must involve the physical frames, physical elements, physical body of the God. Okay? 2, God's eyes, his eye, E-Y-E. I know why I like to just use this. That one helps me to take along what I'm explaining. Is all seeing, not just the 2 eyes, and then explain that 2 eyes, what that 2 eyes can do. Do you get it? If you know, like you have different lens. The one that can see what is very far, the one that can see what is very short, what is very close, the one that not in that angle now. I'm talking about the aspect. For instance, the most Holy Spirit can be so many. It's the same is that God can substantiate spirit from spirit being from spirit being without physical body being involved, and then also become so many. You know what I mean? You know, so that also widens the scope of God's seeing. For instance, right? So what I'm trying to say here is this: that physical eye of the God that interlocked well with the spirit being, that is the main, okay, has to be stationed on the very God the Son, right? Now, the seeing also is, oh God, how do I put this? Okay, for instance, you know what is called zip? Zip, Z-I-P, right? You see zip in some clothes, am I correct? You zip it, right? All right. Now, you observe that zip has teeth, am I correct? Yes, sir. Right? Then when you have zipped the zip, the teeth interlocks. Every zip in God's internal frames, A to Z, has to be seen by the God. Are you getting it now? I'm just okay. Not, oh God, not like if you see the liver, if you should see the liver, or you should see the lungs of your body, you think you have seen it all. You don't know that what you're seeing is not the cells that stitched. You didn't see the stitching of the cell system of your body. Did you? You didn't see the cell system that stitched. Do you understand what I'm saying? All right, all right. Now I'm talking about the person seeing the cell systems that stitched. As an example, that's why I use that word zip. Did you understand? Did you observe also that there are zip codes, and that countries have their? That is where that came from. There are things you see here, even though the people will not know where that came from, but these things that are coming out helps you when you are wise to know. Oh, was that why? I remember when the prophet spoke about the operation that God carried out on the physical body of Lord Adam, and he still used words like what? Zip. And that what was brought down, like when you talk about bricks, you say the building blocks of a physical body. If you go that, what was brought down were 8 digits. Were what? 8 digits. And the reason at the 8th dispensation, heaven must come here. That is the death. All of this in this kind of a planet must go. It was not by accident. It was not accidental. Do you understand what I'm saying? But let me leave this now. What I'm trying to say here is this. that God will, looking at that, that's the very God the Son, will see through, bypass, that is, go beyond the glories of the physical body. The effulgence of the glory that comes out. The very glory factory. All that is on the surface of the physical body of the God. He will go beyond it. I mean, he will pass that and go inside. When God sees his interior parts, God reacts that way. Hey. Did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it? Ouch. Don't make me, this is, see, I've told you before now that the holier the inside. See, if you should look at your face outward now in the mirror, what you will see will be more beautiful than if you should see your skull. Am I correct? It is not that way where God is. It is because the body you're wearing now is a product of an alteration of the main original. Okay? If the physical body of the God is so beautiful outward, going in, the skull that the skin is on is more beautiful. Are you getting it? And it is holier. Then going more again. You might not say, so what more again? Is it now to the spirit be? No, not this. Everything is still in the chamber of the physical body. The more is now not just the skull, is the stitching. The stitching of the whatever that is. Are you getting it now? That like a zip that interlocked to give that physical body that shape. Ouch. I'm trying to know what. So there's something that will help you get this again. Well, you know, if your body should be transparent, if your physical body should be transparent, and when it is not, the way you look when it's not will be different from the way you look when it is transparent. Because when it's transparent, your liver, your kidney, your lungs, this bone and that bone, all of them will show. Am I correct? Because you are not used to that. You just look at a physical body that is not transparent, is not showing what the inside is. So you think it is, that beauty should just be on the outward. In the supernatural, your inside should never be what your outside is more beautiful than. For instance, a tear hominid, which is the spirit being shot out from the abyss, is so ugly. So ugly. Are you getting it? So that's why you can see that the reverse is the case there. So no matter how beautiful that physical body can be, like that of, let's say, hominid, cherubim, seraphim, angels, the physical body that was mass-produced, I mean that God himself was the one who produced the template and mass-produced, okay, is so beautiful. In comparing that physical body, if you should compare that to the spirit being that was immersed or baptized or submerged into that physical body. Right? Now, that has to do with the tear. Jesus once said to some people, say, you are, for they wrote whitewash, that the inside of you is so, like, is like what has decayed. A situation of, when you refer to something that is stinking. So the person just look fine outward. That's not how God is. God's outward appearance is so beautiful. Make no mistakes about it. Like the beauty can send you towards what I call what? Wonder anesthesia. Then that aspect I'm talking about now, you cannot see. You cannot see. I mean, to see the physical body of God, like you see my skin, to see that way, you have to be so happy. Why? There is the glory that is all over, that can make you not just see that skin that way. Do you get it? You have to look very well, and with the eye that can, to see it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So God does not dress with glory raiments. He doesn't need glory raiments. The very physical body of the God is the factory. That's the glory factory. Do you understand what I'm saying? He does not wear glory raiments. Do you understand what I'm saying? He's above that. It is us that needs that. Let me give you an example. It's just like the God who did what he did in trees. In trees that you eat from the tree for that to happen. So what was it that God took to build the tree? What was it? And where did he take that from? Did you understand what I'm saying now? So what is called glory raiment, skin on skin, is a drop in terms of supernatural reality. Is for people that can live inside planets, not the God Almighty. That's why I use words like glory factory. It is manufactured. The system of manufacturing that is with the God. Are you getting it now? So it doesn't come as skin. It doesn't come on skin. On skin. Do you get it? He is higher than that. Do you get it? His skin does not need another skin that will make his skin more beautiful. Oh God, how do I put this? Do you get it? Wow. So it's such a height of explanation that I'm trying to delve into here. Okay? Now, the point I'm making here is this. That when God looks like this, there is this height of the inside, this level he will not see into. So the beauty that he will see will be the one that has to do with from a particular point out. While when he has prosubstantiated from himself, there's a lessening in dimension. Okay? Because that physical body prosubstantiated from the main one. And that one cannot prosubstantiate from himself. That very physical body. So there's a less in dimension. Okay? Because of that, God also looking at that very person, we see into, are you getting it now? The very details of the interior, to the extent that nothing will be hidden. Now that kind of seeing is different, and that has brought out another height of beauty, because it is not just looking at the outward beauty. It looks at the inward and outward together. See, for instance, if you look at the outward gives you smooth skin, smooth and silky. From the inward that I'm talking about out, I'm just talking about skin now, we will give you what looks like also, you know, when you know what's called graph or draft, like, okay, as an example. Now, that has to do with the details of how the thing that has interlocked. So the mankind's Zoe cell system, which I told you is five-pointed star, that is not mankind and so on. Now, what is like the denominator? Just like a rib has the ribber that made the rib become possible. What determined that star-shaped five-pointed star that you can put as the mankind Zoe. What determined it will be visible to the God. Are you getting what I'm saying? Okay, another, maybe, okay. Now, if you look at, for instance, somebody that has a lot of veins. Oh, thank you, most Holy Spirit. Someone that has a lot of veins, as an example, veins. When you look at physical body, that the veins are hidden. The veins are hidden. Is it the same when we look at the physical body of someone and the vein, the wirings are showing? The wirings are showing. When it is showing, it can communicate beauty, it can communicate the opposite. Now, the view that has to do with the interior of the God, not just the organs, like you talk about liver, kidney, not just that. The interlocking of, you know, like when you talk about the building blocks of something, what stitched, that's why I use that word zip. What stitched to form. If you see textile, if you see cloth that is finished from where they manufactured it, you may not see the details. Am I correct? But if you should go to where they are manufacturing it, you know that in that unit, and see how lines of ropes can go this way, and then you are seeing it from there, and seeing it from there. Before it now get to the point where you are no longer seeing it, it becomes cloth. You know, it's like a kind of seeing that shows you not just that cloth, but the details, that has to do with that thing, that whole thing they did. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what is just clothes that's smooth may not look rough, but I mean the details that is in the inside will show. That is how God sees the very himself when that process has taken place, for him to react that way. You understand it? The eyes that is so beautiful, he will see the stitching. That's the stitches. Are you getting it now? The details of the eyes. So in this height of definition, the inner, the more beautiful. Are you getting it? Are you getting this? The dentition I told you is so beautiful. If the very God the Son should show the teeth, it is not just that surface beauty, not that outward beauty. The stitching that produce the teeth will show with the teeth. Are you getting it? Are you getting this? Let me explain something again that will help you. That is how God's seeing is, that I want to reveal to you. Are you ready to hear this? Okay. If God should, let's say, just like there's flour here, right? If this, or whatever that is, for instance, is nasty, if that is nasty, let me not point to the flower in my sanctuary. If whatever that is nasty, like in this kind of planet, there are things that can be nasty. You know what I mean? Just like dirty, ugly, nasty, okay? And then God, as an example, like thorns, I'm just explaining it plainly. God is all seeing, you know. But I'm trying to make you see how that all sin, for you to understand it, because I've touched this before. Like if God should turn and see something and it's nasty. Now, like I told you, when the Bible said that we are naked in his sight, you remember that? The nakedness meant there is not if you remove your cloth, everything he sees it. It is the details of your body into the spirit being as well. To the mind, things you have in your mind, he sees it. Do you understand? That aside. Now, my point is this. If God cites, let's say, cites something that is nasty, that is what happens to the God immediately. Ask me what that is. Good. I'll answer you. That thing is what was tried to be written in the Bible. And they wrote it this way. That God turned his back at someone that was hanging on the cross. The all-seeing God, who can also become many by way of mode of operation. He can become so many. If you look at that very well, you see that it's somehow. That you see that it will not really augur so well with you that God turned his back. Like somebody said, why hast thou forsaken me? My father, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. Like, why hast thou forsaken me? So that God, someone said, then God turned his back at him. See, what when it comes to seeing, something that is, it like is automatic. When God cites something that is nasty, that is dirty, that is not good, that is not, you see, God's creative mind, God's creative faculty cannot be stained at all. Now, that's what happens instantly. That thing is this. The seeing of that God, the seeing, that's that eye on that thing. Immediately, we shot at it. Now, let me tell you how it does too. It does not shot at it instantly like, bam. Like he no longer sees that. It happens, it's fast, but it happens like it's gradual. Gradual. Like he will see that. Even if he's still looking at that thing like this, he will see that, but did not see it. You shall explain that. He will see that, but did not see it. Are you getting this? So there is the inside, when it comes to the mechanism of God's eye, that is with, the thing is with that. He does not see corruption. He does not see corruption. God is so holy that he does not see corruption. God. Do you understand? Do you understand? The thing can happen even at God citing what is called poo-poo. Even poo-poo. This is, God doesn't have to do it. He doesn't have to do it deliberately. It's in the system. It's that way. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you know, like poo-poo, I know you feel because it comes from, let's say, human body. Just like it attracts house flies. At least that shows you that in as it comes out, right, it's not what to brag about or be proud of. It just has to do with the mortal body and so on. And the terrestrial kind of food that is not perfect. That's why you must pass some out. You see? I say God will not like look on feces. Look on feces like this. Like, is that way? Jesus of Nazareth, the Immaculate Conception in flesh and blood. Even the bit in flesh, he was that way. He was that way. He was that way. Do you get what I'm saying? So the birth, the conception of that physical body in the womb of Virgin Mary was completely different. It was completely different from how it normally will happen. The biology of the birth, of conception that we have here, completely different from what happened. You see? So you don't say, well, what do you mean? You know? So it's in the eyes of the God. Are you getting it? Which will help you to also understand. When I say that he's all here, it doesn't mean that he hears nonsense. Thank you. Now, arriving at the point. That same thing I explained to you now, the opposite, is what happens when God sights this physical body I'm talking about. That's the admiration. The admiration. The eyes, that eye looks more and more and more. Hey, are you getting what I'm saying? Are you getting it? Oh, God of mercy. Do you understand? When I say God admires himself the most. Hey. No, I know when you have gotten something. It's not all of you that have really gotten this. I really want you to get this. See, when God cites something that has any form of ugliness, There is the eye, there is the side of his eye that will shut at that. Even though it will not mean a closing of his eyes. It will not mean God, if it's something he should at least know about, he may have known even about that before the thing comes out. So it's not, you don't go that side. My point here is to look at or look on something that is nasty and react to that is nasty. He will not react to that is nasty. The only thing that can move God, that moves God in the positive. In the positive. God doesn't smell like, You know, this is smelling. He doesn't do that. Like, say, like, if I was about eating now, I would have vomited because of what I saw. Nothing can do that to God. Do you understand what I'm saying? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay? That's why he is incorruptible. Did you get it? He is what? Incorruptible. I mean, not just that he is incorruptible. I mean, he cannot be corrupted. What I see can corrupt somebody. God is incorruptible. It does not mean then that if that thing should be very nasty and he sees it, he just sees it like it's nothing and resist it. No, he sees that thing and see it not. Are you getting it? With these that I have explained now. Now you look at this again. I said that when God in his wholesome size looks at the one that has prosubstantiated from himself, spirit being from spirit being, physical body from physical body, that now becomes smaller in size. Oh, but the same God, my goodness, the same God, that is exact, like that's very God in a smaller size. Just glory-wise and so on is like the God looking at himself. Okay? So the dimensions to it, I mean here, is what just will help you there. Is the fact that there is the main, you know, where that one prosubstantiated from and has to go back to at a time. And then on his own, to function on his own, that physical body cannot be prosubstantiated from. Are you getting it now? So at least that will help you to understand this angle. So that dimension aspect is what the difference the difference is what I'm trying to explain in all of this. So that way, the glory, the effulgence of the glories that brings out cannot in any way inhibit the extent at which God's eye will ransack the interior. Are you getting it? We peruse through the interior. So the point here is not like I said, it's not just about the diagram, the anatomy. Okay? It's not just about the anatomy. It is the details. The details. If the outward appearance of the God you can't withstand that, both in beauty, I mean to a very long time, is you look and bow and so on. I've explained these things. What about that one? What about that one that can move the God himself? God's own beauty moves God. So the reason God, for instance, will look at himself at a time that he didn't want conception to take place, and he will know how to look at himself, and will look at himself and there won't be conception, and how he will do the looking when he is ready for conception to take place, as it is not what can happen by accident. There's nothing like God giving birth to the son or a son by accident. Are you getting what I'm saying? So how the God will look at himself and there won't be any conception, And how the God will look at himself and there can be a conception is what I've explained to you now. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? God must see all the details of his physical body from A to Z before delving into coupling his physical body. The one that is his prototype kind. That is the one that is exactly like he is. So the topic of my message today is how God saw all the internal details of his own physical body. How God, capital G-O-D, how God saw the internal details of his own physical body. How God saw the internal details of his own physical body. The physical body of God has no beginning. God was not the one that brought his physical body into tangible reality. God is not the one that invented his physical body. When God that has no beginning, when he has been, also his physical body has been. His physical body and his spirit being are one. Are you getting what I'm saying? So you don't just say, no, his spirit being has been. God is incomplete without his physical body. Are you getting anything? When we define God Almighty, this is how he is. And is a spirit being without a beginning. And then without a physical body, you didn't complete it. Are you getting it? Even though the spirit being can function without the physical body. So don't make mistakes here. I mean, there is the physical body that prosubstantiation takes from. That one is the one I'm talking about. Do you get it? Every attribute you give to the spirit being, you give to that. So this defines also God's height of immortality. God's height of immortality is indescribable. It is indescribable. Like I told you that his size, his full size is indescribable. Indescribable in size. That's also how his immortality is. Indescribable in immortality. He has no beginning. Think about it. Swim that ocean if you can. Dive into that deep if you can get to the bottom. God has no beginning. Yet at a time came with Genesis, which means in the beginning. But God has no beginning. Are you getting what I'm saying? So is the physical body of the God. The kind that is inexhaustible. The kind that can be, when you talk about prosubstantiation, that's the one that what prosubstantiates from that very physical body. That physical body cannot by prosubstantiation get exhausted. That physical body cannot by prosubstantiation suffer a subtraction of what has gone out. Are you getting it? That is the one I'm talking about here. Invincible, yet tangible. Tangible. Physical, yet invincible. Are you getting this? The more the God see into the internal parts of that physical body, the more the God is moved by the beauty of what he sees. Are you getting it now? So not just the exterior, not just the external, not just the shape of the God. Like you know your shape, you've known your shape. You can draw your shape. It is not just that. It is the internal details of the most holy Elohim, the God of creation. Therefore, how the God saw the details of what he will couple from scratch. The scratch I mean here is not from nonsense, from scrap. I mean will take what has not the module, what has not the template. Are you getting it? What can be likened to flour? F-L-O-U-R, flour. That is just this way for you to mold into shape. That's what I mean. Just for you to mold into shape. In other words, whoever that is molding it into shape is not trying to fix a puzzle that is already in the thing. Right? If you are planting rice, as the rice starts growing, how the rice will grow? Was it written in the rice that you saw, the seed that you plant? If you plant mango, how the mango will grow into a tree, the shape of the tree, the branches, was it engraved in the mango seed? The very rebar that God unplugged, which I told you is that's what he will use to couple the physical bodies of the very principal ancestors of the mankind race, or the very physical, the physical body of the principal ancestor, the man of the mankind race. Then later we go to get, you see, a sub of that, which is now rib, to couple the feminine aspect, the feminine version of the very person. Now, what I'm trying to say here is this, please, that the God actually, in coupling the physical body of the son he gave birth to, God coupled his own physical body in a fraction, the size that is in the God the Son manifestation, God the Son mode of operation. So it is actually like God coupling his own physical body. If God has a kidney, the man must have a kidney. Because God has no kidney. You don't look for kidney in the supernatural body of the man. Are you getting what I'm saying? The internal organs of the physical body that God coupled, the internal organs that are there, must be the internal organs that is in the God, in the very physical body of the God. Else we wouldn't say this, like let us make our image. Let us make man in our... He said let us make, you know why? Because he has been saying, I will build this. Hey! Did you get it? Because he has been saying, I will. So it's like he said, this is the time